What does it take to be a leader in today's world? Hello, and welcome to another episode of E60 presented by ESPN. I'm Connor McInerney with Boston Sports, and here today are my colleagues Will Marzalik and Charlie Wagner from Chicago Sports Writing. Today we're going to be talking about the very famous Phil Knight of Nike fame, and we're going to talk about the things that he has done to make him the person that he is today.
Well, first off, I did a little research, and I found this excellent wiki page made by some Marquette students. I thought they had some really excellent information. For one, he's an introverted person. As a leader of one of the biggest companies in sports today, I would never have guessed that he was an introvert. So I found that very interesting. Also, they had a discussion about some of the values he had, which were things like ambition, imagination, responsibility, exciting active life, achievement, and prosperity. Pretty much anything I would imagine a business leader of his caliber would have. And things like exciting active life really resonate in, the mission of Nike and what kind of products they bring forth. Also, what I found very interesting was some of his motivational styles. In terms of this thing called an X and Y theory, is that he really focuses on the values that would really help a person grow and develop, rather than just what kind of salary am I making? Do I like where I work and all that? It's more focused on personal growth. So I think we should really do some in-depth discussion about what type of leader he is and the culture around Nike that he's developed. What do you think, Charlie?
I think that Phil Knight is obviously has a great track record with Nike, and it's definitely worth exploring.
Yeah. I think we'll be right back with a discussion on leadership. This is E60.
Before the commercial break, Will was talking about motivation, and that got me thinking about Phil Knight as a leader. And looking at the trait theory, I see him as a born leader, and the traits that are in that kind of lead me to believe he's a born leader. His entrepreneurial spirit. He's always wanted to work for himself. He has obviously grown a massive company that's one of the largest in the world. He's very driven. He's always wanted to do things his own way, and that's obviously reflected in the company's culture and just the company itself. He's a pretty intelligent guy, as you guys probably know. He graduated from Oregon, got his MBA from Stanford, CPA, which I didn't know, after looking at that Wikipedia page.
Excellent Wikipedia page.
And Charlie, I like that you mentioned intelligence, because I think that he's just so smart that he knows what his employees want and he really knows how to motivate them. Looking back on what Will said with the theory why, where he really knows that his employees want to make their own future, and that kind of leads him to have that democratic style where he wants to have his employees function on their own. He wants them to be available to grow and achieve what they want to achieve.
But Connor, at the same time, he still wants to build people up the Nike way. So he's still very task-oriented, which takes me to the leadership grid developed by Blake and Mouton. And basically, he comes up as a team manager, someone who is very people-focused, but also very task-focused. So he does want to support his coworkers, but as long as they kind of fit in with his personal way. And that in our interview later, I want to kind of ask him what his least preferred coworker is, because that's a contingency theory developed by Fiedler, and it's supposed to shed some real light on what kind of leader he is and how he operates in the workplace. So I'm very interested to see that. And coming up right after this, Tess Otero, our field reporter, will be having a discussion with Phil Knight, so stick around.
Hello, my name is Tess Otero, and I'm sitting here with Phil Knight to discuss his leadership style, the culture which he created, and the ethics surrounding Nike. There's a diagnostic test to help determine the leadership style of individuals called Fiedler's least preferred coworker. Describe the type of person with which you have the most trouble working.
Actually, Tess, I've taken that test before. I've registered a low LPC, meaning that I'm much more task-oriented as a leader. I like to keep things stable across the organization. I'm not easily changing my ways. I like doing things the Nike way, actually, but I still want to focus on the relationships that I develop within the Nike community.
We'll hear some more from her later, but I think one thing that's so important in a strong leader is that he develops a strong culture, and Nike probably has the strongest culture I've ever seen. He's been quoted as saying it's almost impossible to come in from the outside. And so with a strong culture like this, it'll be worth asking him a few questions, I think. And, you know, there's so many recognizable things, you know, like the swoosh. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, the swoosh is... Yeah, the swoosh is an organizational artifact that is synonymous with Nike and, you know, what Nike represents. So such a powerful thing that, you know, I read that actually a good majority of employees of Nike actually have it tattooed on them.
Wow.
Which is actually found very surprising.
Yeah, that swoosh really just does say that the employees feel right at home. And, you know, I think that's one of the values that Knight really wants to personify with Nike. He does have the ambition and the imagination to go where he thinks, but he also has that responsibility, and he wants everyone to feel that they have achievement and prosperity. Especially when you look at Nike, they have these things I actually found in their code of conduct. They have a very strict harassment policy, and they really want to make sure that you feel at home. They want you to make sure that you're comfortable when you're working. They want you to feel like this is a place that you can be, where you're not going to be a target for anything, where you can do your work and you can be successful and you won't have to feel threatened in the workplace. Now we're going to send you back to Tessotero with Phil Knight again to talk a little bit more about the values. Here with E60, I'm Connor McInerney.
Nike's become a household name throughout the world. Mr. Knight, would you please elaborate on the corporate culture and image?
Nike certainly has a strong culture. We like to do things the Nike way. You can see my personal values in the way Nike runs its business. We are certainly an inclusive community. We have a very strict code of conduct. We like to have a safe environment for all of our employees. That actually allows our employees to become loyal, very dedicated, and actually agree and believe in the whole Nike way. Internally, we like to treat our employees with integrity and respect that they deserve. Also, we have a massive Nike campus in Oregon that actually has world-class facilities, training facilities, dining facilities, and also has a very fantastic office space for them to be productive as possible. I would say outsiders view our company as a high-quality company. We like to have our performance and quality speak for itself in our advertisements and actually on the field and at the athletes that wear our equipment.
The Nike symbol is one of the most recognized in all of athletics. Can you describe the swoosh and other artifacts that represent Nike?
Absolutely, Tess. I would agree that the swoosh is one of the most recognized symbols of our company. Consumers definitely see the swoosh and they know the company without actually seeing the word below it. It's by far our biggest symbol for Nike. Here also at Nike we have a phrase that's called "Just Do It." You'll see it on T-shirts, you'll see it on television, and that's also the way our company does business. And that's the way we like to have our athletes represent our brand. Also here at Nike, we have kind of a rite of integration. For the long tenured employees who've been around for quite a while, a lot of them actually go and get a tattoo of the swoosh on their left calf. We also like to provide our employees an hour-and-a-half lunch, encourages them to stay fit, helps them stay focused during the workday. It's just their time to take care of themselves.
I'm Charlie Wagner, and welcome back to E60. Connor, you mentioned the treatment of the corporate workers and how that was, you know, a big core value of Nike, but I was there's a big controversy regarding the sweatshops in Asia that Nike uses and the conditions and ways those workers are treated.
You know, interesting you brought up that, Charlie, because I think ethics is something that Tess is really going to hit on in that interview with Knight later. But he's also done some good things for the world, you know, with foundations like the Girl Effect. He's tried to, you know, really, you know, help disadvantaged people around the world.
Yeah, and we even see that in the Nike Foundation, and he really wants to go out there and help people in third world countries, people who can't even have clean water. He's not really worried about them buying shoes. He's just making sure that they have what they have to survive. And you know, even in their code of conduct, again, it mentions that their environmental impact is minimized, and they're really trying to, you know, leave their green stamp on the world.
Yes, that's a great example of Nike's new direction. And it's also along with that is Knight is started to practice servant leadership.
Charlie, you took the word servant leadership right out of my mouth. And you know, it's something we've been harping on this. I don't think we can mention it enough. He really has this commitment to the growth of the people in his company. He wants to see them succeed. He's building this Nike community where everyone feels like a big family, like you said with the tattoos. He's got this conceptualization where he wants his employees, if they have great ideas, then they want to be shared with all of Nike. He wants Nike to be progressive. He wants the employees to be the best part of his company, and I really like that about Knight.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how he responds to servant leadership within the greater Nike family. And with that, we'll send it back to Tess with the final segment of our interview. This is E60.
Nike has received a lot of negative light for their use of sweatshops. Can you discuss this with us?
Absolutely, Tess. I have changed the way Nike does business. We like to promote a fair and ethical treatment of all of our employees here in the United States and across the globe. We also like to compete in the marketplace in the same way. We try and compete fairly and compete ethically. Also, one thing we like to try and do is increase our philanthropic events. We started the Girl Effect program a couple of years ago, and that's designed to help young women in less developed countries receive the proper education that they need to succeed in their life later on.
You were once quoted saying, "It's all right to be Goliath, but always act like David." Do you really think that both you and Nike live out this quote?
Yes, I absolutely do believe that Nike and I do live out this quote. The way we interpret that is that we want to be large and successful, but we certainly don't want to sit back and rely on our past success. We continually try to grow our company and make the proper change to be a growing and successful company into the future.
Yes, but do you see yourself as a servant leader?
Absolutely, Tess. I certainly see myself as a servant leader. I've developed an inclusive, safe community for all of our employees globally and in the United States. I'm absolutely committed to the growth of our company and all of our employees. And as a leader myself, I can absolutely conceptualize the solutions to problems that face myself, Nike, and all of my employees.
Thank you, Phil Knight, for your time and for sitting down with E60.
Thank you.
Boy, really just hitting the nail on the head with that servant leadership. Tess did a great job with those questions. Well, that concludes our program here on E60. Here is Will Marzalik, Charlie Wagner. I'm Connor McInerney. We'd like to give a special shout out to Tess Otero, our field reporter, and our executive producer and cameraman, Mike Kamen. Also a special thanks to Rainer Libraries. And here with ESPN, I'm Connor McInerney, signing off for E60.